This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Brown and Michael Yu.
Welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I'm your host, and we have a very special guest with us this morning. We have Nicholas Bardon from our Victoria office. Nicholas, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Michael.
Just a little bit of a bio of Nicholas. So Nicholas is a top-performing realtor in our Victoria office, which is fantastic. So Nick, why don't you tell us about how you got started in real estate?
Yeah, kind of a funny story. I was actually a professional yacht crew at the time in the Mediterranean, working as first mate on a big boat.
First mate?
Yeah, first mate. Yeah, so one down from the captain.
Right, okay.
Anyway, and, captain really liked his alcohol a lot, didn't seem very happy, neither did the engineer. And, I'd met a girl at the time and didn't think that I wanted that life. Like, it just seemed too lonely and too disconnected. We were in a different place like every single day.
Right.
And so I was thinking, what can I do with my, meager business education?
Yep.
And then obviously, my younger brother, Robin, is also a realtor at Oakwyn, and,
Sure.
our dad was a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided, maybe that's a good option.
Right.
So I flew back home, actually to Vancouver. That's where I took my course. Rented a place in Kerrisdale.
Cool.
My neighbor was on 24/7 oxygen. She would disrupt my studies with a scotch. That's pretty fun. And then that was it. Yeah. And then decided to go back to Victoria and practice there just because, I don't know. I spent a lot of time in Vancouver and I really like the sort of slower pace of Victoria.
And you grew
Vancouver.
up...
Yeah, I grew up on Salt Spring.
On Salt Spring Island,
yeah.
yes.
But I've obviously spent, quite a bit of time in Victoria as well. So
That's awesome. So tell us about the first start of being in real estate, Nick.
Well, the first year we started in real estate,
Did you start with Robin together?
Not quite.
Okay.
I started just before him. I started in October of 2007, which, if anyone was licensed then, it was like quite a hot market.
Yeah.
Before the 2008 crash. And so the first half the last half of 2007 and the first half of 2008 was like wildly successful.
Right.
And we had a lot of clients that actually we were working with our dad at the time, or I was. And Robin, when did Robin start? I think he started in 2008, like maybe June or something like that of 2008. Anyway, and so we had a really good year. And then, of course, after that amazing year, we went and traveled and spent it all. Because that's what you do.
Right.
And then we had a world economic crash. So that was sort of the first year. It was, it was very fast paced and like exceeded my expectations as to what it would be. And it was really fun. And it was fun to work with our dad for a little while and learn from him and have some of his clients. So it was good. Yeah.
So, did you always know that you wanted to get into real estate, or what was that? How did that idea come to?
My brother and I think on numerous occasions were like, oh no, we're not going to go into real estate. Like, it takes over your life. Like, it's, it's such an all involved business. But then we both realized that, it provided like some really crazy flexibility in your schedule, meaning you're busy all the time, but you can, take time off.
Right.
And I think it just seemed like it was a really good fit. Like, it was, financially rewarding if you worked hard and let us work for ourselves because we've both been kind of self-starters. So
yeah. So tell us about the yacht life. So like what was it like to do that?
It's not like below deck, if that's what you're thinking.
Okay.
I worked on a private yacht, which is different than a charter yacht. So we had the one family that would come and they didn't rent it out to anyone else. So it would be, the husband and wife would come and use the boat and they'd bring their daughter or their friends. And, sometimes when we had lots of friends, it was like a charter yacht, but it wasn't quite that wild. But it was, every morning it started at 7 a.m. and it finished whenever the owners were done.
Wow.
So it was also, I always say it was like a mild form of slavery. But we did get paid reasonably well.
Right.
And tons of amazing adventures, like a new country every single day.
Wow.
I sat in the crow's nest in the boat for the Grand Prix.
What's the crow's nest?
Crow's nest is like this was a motor yacht, but most boats have like a mast on it for visibility or for electronic equipment or whatever.
Right.
And this is just for electronic equipment. So I sat up there. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I sat up there and watched the Grand Prix in Monaco Harbor, which was like pretty amazing because not something that I can afford. So that was neat. And we were in Turkey and Cyprus and Lebanon and all over the place.
That's cool.
So tons of
What
cool spots.
what are the ultra rich like? Is there like a trope or something? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
So the guy that I worked for, and we'll probably just leave his name out of it, but
Sure.
he was self-made in his lifetime, and
Okay.
we actually became really good friends.
Right.
And I remember one evening we were on they have these restaurant boats in Turkey, and so
Okay.
you take your little boat to the restaurant, you eat and drink lots of raki, and then you go home again. So I get a call at like, I don't know, midnight, something like that, and the skipper goes, "Oh, too drunk to drive the boat home. Can you bring another one?" Okay, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
So I bring the boat over there and have a few drinks, and then we're about to head home. And the owner's like, "I think we should swim home." And so this guy, who's my friend
What
now,
the heck?
he's a solid like 400 pounds,
Right.
strips down to his tighty whities and
Oh.
jumps in the ocean. It's the middle of the night.
Right.
So it was pretty it was fun. It was a fun adventure. And so this guy, in answer to your question, was like quite down to earth and a cool
Okay.
guy and just wanted an adventure.
Right.
I had a friend who was a helicopter pilot who worked for someone else
Right.
who he didn't ever even talk to the owner. The owner would get in and tell him where he wanted to fly, and that was it.
Right.
But he did, get purchase his own helicopter, so that was good enough for him.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you got to have a different character type to be able to achieve those kind of heights, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, everyone's very A-type and very
Right.
driven. And this guy was too, but he made his money from bread, which is crazy. So he had a chain of bread factories across Europe, and
Wow.
Europeans eat a lot of bread. And so, that's how he made his money. So, I guess it depends. If
That's
you're,
cool. So did you grow up on the water then?
Yeah,
Nicholas?
for sure. Robin and I, we didn't have a waterfront property growing up, but we grew up sort of across from the water. And so my parents used to take me out when I was 2 in my crib in between the thwarts of their boat when they went salmon fishing.
Wow.
Maybe that's not something most parents would do now, but
Right.
back then, sure. And and then I've had a boat since I was probably 10 years old. So yeah.
That's so cool. So so you obviously started in Victoria. You don't have a big network there, do you, in Victoria?
No, not
No.
really. When we first started, we had some people that we knew through my dad.
Right.
But that was not,
Mhm.
that didn't really, it wasn't a massive network.
Did you work in the as a family real estate business for a while, or?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think it was about, we'll have to fact check this, but I think it was about 4 years that we worked with
Okay.
my dad, and
Yeah.
he was older, and so we kind of, he sort of retired a little bit, and then
Oh, okay.
and then Robin and I took over, and then Robin moved to Vancouver as we know now.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Robin Bardon is Nicholas's brother. Nick's brother. He's a Vancouver real estate agent, a top producer as well as Nick, but in the Vancouver market. So how was that transition working for the first 4 years with your dad? Because you're talking about a sun rising business and a sun setting business.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think that my dad's real strength was his networking ability.
Mhm.
And I always say that I only ever met one person who didn't like him, and
Mhm.
no one liked that person. So, it was, he had real loyalty from his clients. So
Right.
that was really nice. And then I think both Robin and I, that's how we moved our businesses forward as
Right.
a really full service. We do everything for our clients and
Yeah.
make sure they're really looked after. And I don't know if that's how everyone runs their business because I
Mhm.
don't ask, but that's how we did it. And that's something we learned from him. And then, as he wanted to do less, that was good. It worked for us and worked for him. So
Yeah. So working with your dad and with Robin for a while, Robin goes to Vancouver. You stay in Victoria. So tell us about that.
Yeah. And I think Robin really liked the fast-paced Vancouver life, and
Right.
we both actually still have a lot of friends in Vancouver because
Mhm.
we spent time going to school here and all the rest of it. And I prefer, after numerous years, I realized that I like the countryside better than I like the city, and a ton of my business revolves around the Greater Victoria area.
Right.
But ultimately, as we're probably going to get to,
Yeah.
I like to be on the water, and I love waterfront, and the uniqueness of it, and all that involves because
Yeah.
I like to fish and boat and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You like the lifestyle that comes with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So obviously practicing in Victoria, what's the market like in Victoria? What is that look
Right
like?
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's the strangest market that I've seen since I've been licensed.
Mhm.
Because we get multiple offers, and no, things are not going way over ask, but be 5 offers on a property and it'll go $2,000 over asking on
Right.
a, $1.1 million place, which, okay, interesting. And then there's properties that I think are well priced and good and they're sitting. But I think, over this spring, what I figured out is that the unique properties that are well priced are selling because people, in my opinion anyway, are much more scared of loss than they are of gain. And so if they look at a property and they go, that's a good price, that's a one-of-a-kind property, I can't lose that property. Then they take action. Otherwise, like it's slow. So yeah, but I mean, I am very grateful. Actually, my business is not slow. We've been absolutely slammed and we've been, really lucky to get some amazing listings this year.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, we, my wife, Michaela, during COVID, lots of, people's jobs evolved and she started to work with me doing my administrative work. And I've had 4 assistants before that. And I think maybe I'm not the best boss, but anyway, our synergy together, like obviously we get along personally, but work-wise we do as well. And she's like, I would say she's probably the best assistant I've ever encountered. And she's not really an assistant. She's a partner now. Anyway, and so we just kind of decided that we wanted to focus in on a niche that we were good at and do something that we enjoyed. And we also live on Sydney Island, which is where Sydney Spit National Park is. So we live on like a boat access private island. And so that kind of fit with our lifestyle as well. Like we understand off-grid systems and solar and what's special about these houses. And we live that whole lifestyle. So I think it resonates with our clients and they feel
so tell us
some level
about
of
your
trust.
niche for those that don't.
We stick to waterfront. And let me just correct that. We have a lot of really long-term loyal clients, one of which we have a home listed for right now. I think I've listed and sold 7 homes for them. And so we still work with all those clients. Like they're important to us as well. But what we're trending towards is waterfront, either in the greater Victoria area. And I would say specifically more rural, like the Oak Bay, downtown Victoria waterfront is less of what we do. And then more sort of Saanich Peninsula, Gulf Islands, all the boat access islands. Actually, we have a listing coming up, I don't know, probably late this year in Haida Gwaii, which will be kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And it's a fully renovated, amazing. Anyway, not promoting that, but it's an interesting listing. So yeah, it's waterfront, boat access, plane access, and then we do some off-grid island stuff as well, which is kind of fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So tell us, give us the 101 on these types of properties. Like what do you look at when you're how do you value these properties? Because there's no comparables, right?
Yeah, there's very few comparables. And let's take an example where we live on Sydney Island. It's super interesting because there are people that go there that have, let's call it a more modest income. And they're like, oh, we'd love this recreational property.
Right.
And so that market is, you have to say, okay, well, what can they get on Salt Spring Island or Galliano Island or some island that has ferry access? And why do they want to be here? And what are they willing to pay? And then there is another group of people that purchase there. Some of the listings that I've recently listed, they're 2 amazing walk-on waterfront listings where people just go, I want that home, get it for me. And those people, honestly, generally come and they buy, they pay asking, and that's what happens because they want that unique home because they are really unique. Like the one we just got an accepted offer on is south-facing, walk-on waterfront with a gorgeous.
So when you say walk-on waterfront, what does that mean?
Yeah, so there's 3 different types of waterfront. Sort of. I mean, there's one that you can just walk it's level, basically it's called low bank waterfront. And then there's mid bank, which maybe there's some stairs or something down. And then our particular property, because it was cost effective for us, is high bank. So it's a 30-foot cliff to the ocean. So we get the amazing outlook and the ocean's right there, but we're not accessing it from our property anyway. So those are the three types. So walk on waterfront, everyone would like to be able to walk out their front door with their coffee and their dog and go for a walk on the beach. And so that's the most valuable. And then in the Gulf Islands, it's super tricky to find that, but south or west or some sunny exposure anyway, because that's just not how the terrain is anyway. So that's what this was. It was unique. We had, again, it's not unconditional yet, but we had someone who, had funds and purchased it, and the price was less important and more getting the property was important. Yeah.
So what inspired you to kind of live yourself in a waterfront?
It's actually really funny. I think because real estate is so all encompassing and we're working all the time that I want my daily life to be an adventure, because I've always, I kiteboard and I used to raft and ski guide and I've done all that type of stuff. So I need some adventure, and real estate is an adventure, but it's more of an emotional adventure than like a physical adventure. And so, yeah, I just want to have some time to do some of the things that I like. Like the other day I had afternoon appointments and I was like, oh, you know what? I've got like 2 hours. So I went out in the boat, which I was going to do anyway to go to shore. And I went and fished for 2 hours. And then I just went straight into my appointments. So I had the time to do that. But if I'd had to live on the mainland, launch my boat, get on my boat, go fishing, go back again, it'd be a whole day.
Right.
And so that's why. And then, just generating power and surviving and like everything is physical. So I like that because there's not much physical work in real estate. So it's nice to get out and split wood and, make sure that your generator is running. And I was out pulling stumps the other day with the excavator. That was really fun. You're angry at life or whatever. You get out there and rip some stumps out, and it's satisfying. It's a productive way to get rid of that. So anyway, that's why.
So obviously it's a bit of not an unconventional, but like a more maybe a more human way of living, right?
Well, okay, so this is what I always say, like about these small islands. So Sydney Island, as an example, is like, I don't think that we have ever experienced the community that we experience there. Like, we're out to dinner probably 2 or 3 nights a week. We have more friends and are more social there than we've ever been. And I'm obviously not an introvert.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that's really special. And then, and everyone there is sort of exceptional in their field, which is also really neat. Everyone's really interesting. I mean, there's a National Geographic photographer. There's a couple that have the Order of Canada. Like, it's just, everyone's got a really neat story. Even like, we have one of my good friends there is a retired faller. And like,
what's a faller?
A logger, basically.
Oh, okay.
But he falls like, 14-foot wide cedar trees. And he's actually, he teaches forestry as well. And so just, I don't know, super interesting. I mean, that was a way of life on the coast for, 100 years. And he lived his whole life in Port Hardy, actually. So, yeah. Anyway.
So it's a bit more of an interconnected community then.
Totally.
Yeah. So,
I mean, because we are all brought together by living on this remote off-grid island, we get groceries for each other in the wintertime. And if something's broken, everyone pitches in. Last year, someone had some problems with their concrete truck. They were pouring a foundation, and then like the next day, everyone just showed up and and poured concrete for these people. And like, these are people that certainly could afford to to pay to have this done, but they felt like this was a value and to help their neighbor. And anyway, it's pretty special.
That's amazing. It kind of brings that village kind of.
I know. I just remember you saying that you're interested in some sort of Gulf Islands property. I'm like, Mike, we got to get you over there.
I know. Yeah. I think it's having that connectivity and having that community and that sense of like
totally
neighborhood and obviously it's so weird. Like we live in the city, obviously, and it's there's a detachment.
Yeah.
With your neighbors, and like there's a weird etiquette. That whenever I go on the islands, it's like that barrier is removed. I think it's a lot to do with the environment and the setting, versus the actual people. I think environment shapes and informs our day-to-day life, and obviously living on a waterfront property or something that has some some people might see them as obstacles, but they might be fun adventures for others, right?
Yeah.
So so that's so interesting. So what was your first unique property that you sold?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or how'd you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of, like, obviously during COVID, there were people who were purchasing, like, they realized that, their sort of more contained space in the city wasn't enough for them, and they felt like they needed to get away and get into nature and have somewhere they could, I don't want to say escape, but have somewhere that wasn't the city.
They could detach to.
Yeah, detached to. Yeah. And so at that time, I kind of realized that, and I was selling, property that, some of it had been sitting for years. And, Valdez Island, which is off, it's off the northern tip of Galiano or south of Gabriola. There are a bunch of boat access properties there that are like very hard to get to and very remote. But I was selling these and people just loved them. And I put one on the market, I think at like 300 grand, and I had multiple offers on it, and it sold in, I don't know, 2 days or something like that. And that's normally like more like a 2-year venture.
Right.
And then There was one, actually very sad. The owner of the property passed away, and it was a referral from another Oakwyn agent, and for the estate. And he had a boat access property on Helby Island in Barkley Sound. And I think it was between 35 and 38 groups of people out to this island in one day. And that seems like, oh, it's no big deal. Just put them all on a big ferry. No, the boat only fit 4 people. And you had to go from Bamfield to West Bamfield, which is where the boat was. And then from West Bamfield out to Helby. So it was like, actually, Robin came and helped me with that. I was like, Rob, I need crowd control. I need you to come help. And so, yeah, that was like I think that was probably like when it sort of really launched, because I got a ton of exposure from that. And it was a really neat little rock side cabin with a little rock hot tub. And anyway, it was a cool spot.
Right.
Yeah. But
so obviously that spurred like an idea that to kind of, you still obviously work on conventional things too, but you know, these are interesting niche properties. And so how do you market these? Like, how do you get attention on these?
Trying to do with like our social media and our YouTube channel right now is actually develop something where people come to look at this type of property. And so we're working on that, and we're not, we still are quite small in that respect. So that's one way that we're working on. But then I think like step one is amazing media. So I met my media guy. He was like 19 years old, and I was like, who is this child you've sent to me? But like really good guy. And then it turns out like he has an amazing eye for photography. So he's my guy. He loves these adventures. When we went to that Helby Island property, I said, okay, Harry, like what we're doing is we're going to just nose into the rocks. There was no dock. And I said, you're just going to step off. No jumping, no running, just step off. And of course he waits until it's like 8 feet away, and then he jumps. And he does a windmill like this. Yeah. $15,000 worth of camera gear on his back, and almost tips into the ocean. But he stuck the landing. Anyway, and so he is the guy, like he takes amazing drone photography. We do 3D walkthroughs. We do all the regular stuff you do in the city, but I think more. And then when we do the video, you'll always see me chatting about it. So I highlight the points and basically like I try to pitch the dream. And there's always twilight shots. There's always sunrise, sunset, like all that type of stuff. And so that's the first thing. Get people over there. Right. And then once that happens, then I get them over on a day that's amazing. Like it can't be windy, it can't be rough at all. Like it has to be sunny, and like everything has to be perfect. And of course, we say, well, you're on the West Coast or you're here and it does rain, but you want them to have that, like you're pitching a dream, right? Like this is a dream. They want to think, oh, it's going to be sunny and amazing. And look, there's salmon everywhere and all that type of stuff. So that's the second part. And then after that, what I was talking about that Robin and I think both do is kind of provide like a full service. So like I have contractors that will go to these islands. Like I have a septic guy. I was just chatting with him this morning.
So specialized.
Yeah. Well, and they're not like, it's not everyone who's prepared to do that. And you certainly don't want to hire the contractor who's like, I don't really want to do that, but I will, because we all know what's going to happen there. It's going to be a big fat price tag. Yeah. And then just kind of help them through the humps. I have a boat builder that I work with. So yeah. Anyway, you have another question? Yeah.
So what's the buyer profile? Is there like a demographic, a typography of the buyer profile for these unique properties?
Yeah, I think like most of the people that are buying like especially like let's say Sydney Island, Piers Island, and even any waterfront, it's sort of like either very close to retirement or retired. So like 60 to like 75, something like that. And generally, they have the net worth to, this is frequently a second or third or fourth property for them.
It's not a primary residence for most.
Yeah, well, that's the majority of the groups, I would say. And then I think the smaller number of people are people that are maybe sort of in my age range, and they want some sort of adventure. So fit, active people that are like, yeah, we want to have an adventure. And so there's those people.
So what are some of what's the most unique property that you've sold?
The most unique?
Yeah.
I think the one that I've listed right now is like crazy.
Okay, what's it like?
It's called the Book Lovers House, and the entire...
The Book Lovers House. Did you brand this house? Or?
No. So the owners of the home, without disclosing too much, they owned a big chain of bookstores, and then they sold those and retired because it was a ton of work. And then this is a home that they had built. And Blue Sky.
So they custom built it.
Yeah, they custom built it. Yeah, and they worked with Blue Sky Architecture, which does like crazy builds on the Gulf Islands. And the whole house is a circle. So the first 120 degrees of the home is is the living space.
Wow.
And every single room in the home has an amazing water view, except the laundry room. But everything else does. And then there's a section of fence and then workshop, and it forms a circle around like a Japanese style garden, which is
Oh my
pretty
God.
neat. Yeah. And
Is it a 1-floor home or is it?
Yeah. 1-floor home. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. So the book lover's home, and it's a circle.
It's a full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it like every single bit of this home is perfect. Like it's just the finish, anyway, yeah, it's spectacular. Cool home.
That is so incredible.
Yeah.
How much is this house?
Yeah. And it's crazy. I don't think you couldn't build this house now for what they're asking. It's 2.2 million. It's 2 lots. So you could build a second home if you wanted. I don't know if you'd need that, but yeah. Anyway.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So how did the sellers find you, or how did you meet them?
Yeah. So they're on the island where we live.
Mhm.
And anyway, there's basically 3 agents that do any business over there at all. And they saw the video that I did for that walk on Waterfront property that I was talking about, and they really liked that and liked that approach. And then they reached out to me, and and then that was it.
That's so cool. So I've watched your marketing, and it feels like you tell a story in all of those. So is that a part of the marketing strategy, a part of the plan?
Yeah, I think so. Like that's what I was saying about kind of pitching a dream. Like it's a lot of work. Sometimes it would be easier to be
very creative.
Yeah, like when I take people over there, it's usually an entire day to show a property like this, or the better part of a day anyway. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to impart like the community that's over there, talk about, everyone asks me about water and beach access and power and all those things. So we kind of try to paint that whole picture and make it seem really easy and like it's amazing. And it's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. So that's,
Wow, that's it's so cool because every sale has got to be so unique and so different and such, and you got to be very knowledgeable about all these things. So it's where what resources do you use to learn this stuff, or is it just by experience?
Yeah, and I don't know, and maybe this is part of being an agent. We are always going in 9 different directions, but I really love learning all this stuff, and so. On our property that we own over there, I built our whole electrical system. And I did, I don't know, probably 75% of the work with the excavator and all that type of stuff and cut most of the trees. And there's a guy on the island, the faller I was talking about, the logger. Sure. We work on his mill and mill some of the wood. And actually I milled some wood for the book lover's house. There were some posts that were rotted. So we milled up some cedar or some fir trees, sorry.
You milled? What does that mean?
It's like a portable sawmill. So it just looks like a long steel bed.
Right.
And then you lay the log on top of it, usually with a crane truck or something like that. And then, and it's a bandsaw that goes through it and you make lumber from it. And so we made that for him. And that was actually part of my listing pitch. I'm like, well, I'll give you those poles. I'll cut those for you.
Wow,
so anyway,
that's incredible.
Kind of fun. So the answer is I like learning it. So mostly I've learned it. And then the septic stuff, I actually did a whole 3-day seminar on septic last year because no one totally understands it. And I was like, okay, I gotta.
So what questions are you asking the seller when you're meeting them about these properties?
Yeah. We always, I guess the biggest question I start with is why did you buy this home and why do you like it?
Right.
Because I want to know what their story is and what their dream is, because that's going to be part of the marketing. And then obviously we go into, usually we spend the better part of a day actually while the photos are being taken of going through the home and I need to learn the systems because I have to explain it to every buyer because the sellers aren't usually there. That's still not a great thing. So that's it. Just why did you buy it? And then also why you're selling it. It amazes me in 19 years, everyone still asks me, oh, why are they selling? And I'm like, well, they're ready to move on. But anyway, no, it's part of the story. So it is important.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm buying one of these properties, what should I look out for? What are some of the warning signs? Let's say I was buying a waterfront on a remote island. What should I be paying attention to?
Yeah, okay. So warning signs. I'd say that if you're not very capable and sort of a handy person, just understand that building on these islands is definitely more expensive. Building material to any of these islands generally comes by barge. And, the barge is about $200 an hour, which is actually it's $250 now, I think. But anyway, it's just more expensive to build. And then obviously, there's some of them have water and power, but most of them don't. And most of them, excuse me, most of them have septic. So is the septic working? And know that, a septic system in town is maybe 30, and on the island it could be 50, and things like that. So that's a warning. And then I guess the other thing is, we the elephant in the room, everything is rising, right? So if you're buying waterfront, do you really want to buy super low bank waterfront, or do you want to, hedge your bets a little bit and get something that's a little bit higher? So that's something. I don't know.
So what environmental? So like when you talk about that, like about the banks and stuff like that, like is there any like rules of thumb or anything that you?
Well, so something that I do, this is actually a bit of a story as well, is like tsunami is like always something that people are concerned about.
Right.
And that one on Helby Island, it actually was quite high bank. So if there was a tsunami, like you'd probably want to go to the center of the island, but it's very unlikely that you'd actually, like your house probably wouldn't be damaged by it. But last year I was actually out on like our cruising boat, and the radio came on and there's a tsunami warning. I'm like, oh God, okay, what do I do now?
Right.
And I have a client on Salt Spring who's a retired nuclear engineer, mechanical engineer. Anyway, and I said, hey, Fritz, like, can you tell me how fast this wave is coming? Here's the epicenter. So he just did the math. He's 85 and like definitely a genius. And he goes, oh yeah, you got like at least 4 hours. I'm like, okay, I got 4 hours. And so, yeah, anyway, bottom line is like tsunamis are something to worry about. But you can, like there's a seismic center on southern Vancouver Island, and they can really tell you like where they're going to come in, how they're going to affect you. And that tsunami wasn't going to have any effect on many of the islands that I deal with. So yeah, something you look at. But I think the biggest thing is, are you going to be happy with the predominant weather conditions? Like if you love the rugged West Coast, great, but be ready for some rain and some fog, because that's what the West Coast is about. If you prefer sun and warm temperatures and less rough weather, maybe the Southern Gulf Islands are better for you. So that's like part of the process when people are buying. So, yeah.
Do you specialize in anywhere in the island specifically, or?
I think that most of my business is sort of Southern Gulf Islands, Sydney Island, Piers Island, up as far as to Corsi and things like that. But I've definitely taken people further, and I think if it's interesting, you know what it is, actually, honestly, like in real estate for me, it's like about the people. Like if it's someone that is like, they're serious about this and they really like it, and we get along well, because that's important, we're going to be spending quite a bit of time together, then I'll take it on. But yeah, I'd say predominantly it's Southern Vancouver Island is where I do most of my business.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So tell us about, so you mentioned one referral that you got from the mainland, from Oakwyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, is that a part of your business?
Yeah. It's a huge part of my business. So I think, and I mean, this, but I've known like you and Arlene and Morgan forever.
Yes,
through Robin.
Yeah.
And I was at a different brokerage before I was at Oakwyn, because you guys weren't over in Victoria, and I was super happy when you finally opened up shop over there, because it's always a hard conversation. Like, oh, I'm at a brokerage from Vancouver, and even though it doesn't really matter, well, it would matter because Oakwyn's better, but it was a hard conversation. So I think even previous to me being at Oakwyn, I got a ton of referrals from Oakwyn, and I think it's definitely partially due to my brother's like amazing relationships with other agents in the office. But then I've also developed my own.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I definitely, even before I was at Oakwyn, I had an Oakwyn family, and I always enjoy chatting with them. So
yeah, that's, you're a big part of our community, Nick, on the island, and one of our first agents in Victoria. So one of the first two agents we started the Oakwyn Victoria with, and it's been such a pleasure to watch him grow and develop and evolve his business. And I think for us, we just share the same values and the same quality perspective, and we're just really grateful to obviously be able to work with Nick. So
likewise.
When we talk about kind of our professional community, so what's the best way of referring someone, like referring you some clients in?
I mean, that I think the absolute best, or the thing that I prefer anyway, is if I'm able to get, like, if you have someone who you think might be interested, I like to have a phone meeting with them first. And I actually, because I am out on all these crazy islands and running my boat and doing all this, I don't passing my contact information to your clients is not always successful because sometimes I'm out of cell service and I hate missing those calls. And then they're like, oh, we couldn't get a hold of Nick. Oh, and we move on to someone else or whatever the case may be. So just, giving me a call, telling me about your clients, giving me their information, obviously with their permission. And then I just reach out and give them a ring. And I think something maybe that I'm working on is I've never been a really pushy salesperson, and I like the people and I respect, that they don't want to be sold anything.
Right.
And I'm kind of there to provide the information and facilitate, this if they want to go and look at these things. And I love talking about it. So, a phone meeting for me is fun. I get to talk about what I'm passionate about, and so that's the best thing. So, give me their contact information. I have a conversation with them, and then we decide, what they want to do.
Yeah. How do you like being part of the community, the Oakwyn community in Victoria? They're quite amazing.
I like it. And I'm always so busy doing a million different things. I feel like a tiny bit of like Oakwyn guilt that I'm not like spending more time with them. But I actually was in the office yesterday and a bunch of the ladies came in and we were having espressos and chatting goals. And yeah, it was great. It was really nice. I really like them. So it's
I
cool.
have to say that, so our Victoria group in our Oakwyn Victoria group is amongst the highest productive agents. Like there's some real lots of top producing agents. It feels like everyone's a top producer in our Victoria office. So it's a great group, and what quality marketing they put together, and like the services they provide, and just being able to trade and share knowledge. Our managing broker over there, Laura, is fantastic. So we're obviously excited about growing throughout the island. Nick's a big part of that. So some of those unique properties are, especially the marketing that you do, they really showcase, the quality of services and the things that you do.
It's also really fun to do that. Like I really enjoy making those videos, and like Harry and I are like good friends now, and we have adventures. We spend nights at remote hotels and have cocktails afterwards to celebrate, and it's good for his portfolio too. So it's also part of the business that I really enjoy. And actually, I've got all the ladies coming. Sorry, I shouldn't say ladies. All the Oakwyn people coming over to Sydney Island to see the Book Lovers House on the 14th. Nice. And
fantastic.
Then Ainsley and I are going to do, because Ainsley does a bunch of YouTube stuff as well. Yeah. We're going to do a joint video together.
Oh, cool.
And so that'll be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome to be able to see that type of property as well. Like that sounds so interesting, and to be able to work in those unique, luxury style properties or the waterfront properties is really cool. And, I think using some of, I think this goes to show, using some of the strengths from your upbringing and your past and bringing them into the real estate business is something that's really cool. Like, bringing all your experience that are on the boats.
Do what you know.
Being a baby on the boats.
Yeah.
And kind of bringing that in, kind of making it real estate and hobbies, kind of like combining them
together.
Yeah. Like how do you feel about that?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I think that because real estate is, especially like if you're, really, putting yourself out there, like it is a very busy job. I'm always on calls till 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. at night. And, so when you do have a spare second, it's nice to be exactly where you want to be, doing what you want to do. And also when I'm out with clients, like everyone always asks me, oh, what about the commute? You live on a boat access island. I say, well, I get on my boat, it's like 15 to 18 minutes and I see orcas, I see, all sorts of things. Like it's not really that terrible. I'm not screaming at anyone in traffic. So it could be a heck of a lot worse. So yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's the way to go.
That's a cool paradigm shift. You know, I think, just looking at it, at those things as an adventure is really cool. And, so we get a lot of different agents that, kind of bring some of their strengths. So like one of our top producing agents, grew up playing golf, and basically he gets all of his clients doing golf. And then another that is, volleyball and doing that. And then, we have one that, loves a certain area of town. So they just focus on that. So I think that there's, so many different ways to build a business in this. And
and being passionate about what you sell. Like if you're not, you're probably not doing the best for your clients. So it's pretty important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it working with your significant other?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to be the boss ever.
Okay.
And I actually think at this point, like I'm really not. And I mean, she's like such a crazy, conscientious hard worker, and like her strengths are my weaknesses.
Right.
So it's just worked out really well. And like I don't know, we spend most of our lives together. Like we don't ever do separate vacations or girls or guys trips or anything like that.
Yeah.
We're pretty much always together, and it works. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe you should ask her. She might say something different, but no, I don't think she would. But
Right.
yeah, no, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think occasionally, like, because I've been doing it almost 19 years now, occasionally I'll be like, she'll suggest something and I'll say, well, in the past, like this hasn't gone so
Right.
well. And then I say, okay, well, let's try it. And then, it kind of goes the way I thought it would. But that's okay. Like, I think that's part of having like a partner and like, listening to their ideas and whatever else. So I think, yeah.
Do you find yourself talking about work all the time?
Sometimes, yes. Right now it's really, really busy. We always have slow periods. And I mean, we spent, like, we're super lucky. We spent 5 weeks away and on a really nice vacation. And so that's great. So we kind of do that. And then when we're here working, especially in spring, we just focus on that. And it's okay. I mean, yesterday we took 2 hours off and took some riding lessons together, and that was really fun.
Riding?
So,
like
horses.
Horses? Oh, cool.
Yeah,
is this a new passion or is this something you did in the past?
Well, speaking to, working with your significant other, we find that like the main thing we do together is work. And then we do have some sort of different hobbies, and we wanted to get a hobby together.
Oh, cool.
And she's had some interest in riding, and I've always wanted to learn how to ride, and a family member has some horses that aren't getting ridden. So we hired a trainer and just, went out and did it. And it was really fun.
In the trails or like on the...
Yeah, well, she's got a 20-acre farm, so starting on the farm, but there are trails right out from that farm. So ultimately, that's the goal. But
wow,
not there yet.
That's so cool. And,
so kind of fun.
Yeah, so this might be TMI, but like, so my first 3 girlfriends were in real estate, and like, because obviously, I was so obsessed with working. That was my only way of meeting
people.
anyone.
Yeah.
So and I think I kind of like, we were just talking about it so much, and I kind of like, one of them we actually worked together, and it was just like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes a level of maturity, respect, great communication to be able to do it, and I certainly couldn't. So like. But some couples, they work so well together. They're just like, it's like magic, and they do so well together. And yeah.
I mean, I love all the front end stuff. Like I love talking with people, and like that's what I love about real estate is people. Like the properties are cool, but I like the people.
Yeah.
And then my wife is like, she loves people, but she's definitely a little bit more quiet and more introverted, and loves research, loves scheduling. Like I'll get up in the morning and I'm like, what am I doing today? And then boom, 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 boom. And I go, oh, that's what I'm doing. Okay.
Right.
So that's really great. And then, just, I can call her when I'm at a showing and go, oh, hey, like, what's happening with this well, or what's with this? And then in minutes, like I get that answer back again, which, so she's an incredible researcher, which, it's really great.
Yeah. I think, people talk about family business, we both run a family business, and, obviously, you can't trust or count on someone as much as you can with it when it's a family member, or, it's a significant other.
Usually, yeah.
But and the level of care is different, obviously, than when you're working with colleagues. So which is kind of good and refreshing. It can be like really positively compounding effect. Obviously, I've seen it go both ways. So where it works so well, like in your case, or work the other way.
Well, no,
like,
for sure.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So let's say somebody was like, where the opportunities lie in the in the Victoria or the island market. Like, where do you see like, okay, this is like a great place. Like if I'm buying a waterfront property, this is where I'm looking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is something I always say. Like let's say, modest income, looking for maybe even like a first home. The Brentwood Bay area on the Saanich Peninsula, I still think is like one of the best priced areas in Victoria. And
Brentwood Bay and Saanich.
Yeah. And it's like in the past, I think like it's been, I don't even know how to say this, but like someone else used this term, like kind of like a workforce friendly like area.
Right.
And like now it's changing, and there's some like really, really like amazing waterfront there. And it's, I mean, I had a client that came and they bought a like a 2-level home in really good condition, needed a little updating and things like that. But, it was under 1.2 million on like a 9,000 square foot lot. And that wasn't
Wow.
waterfront, but there's another area just around from Brentwood Bay called Willis Point, and you can get a full waterfront home for 1.4 million.
Wow.
Which is, and that's, that's on the peninsula. That's not a boat access island, so it's very accessible. Yeah, so I think like that's a really great value area.
Wow.
If you want to have an island property, all of the Gulf Islands are different, and we won't totally get into that. And if you want really, really quick accessibility, somewhere like Salt Spring or Pender would be really good. And there are some deals there. And in a market like this, these properties are, or should be anyway, softer than the city. So like, and it is, some people are working remotely and, have carried that through from COVID. And so like, that's still a possibility. And there's another one that we've got a really cool place coming up on it, is Piers Island. It has city water and power, which is really valuable because those are kind of hard to generate. And it's literally a 4-minute boat ride. And I was on the dock the other day, chatting with a young guy. He's like probably mid-30s, and he's a successful lawyer in town, actually real estate lawyer. And and he's like, I've been back and forth like 4 times. He's got 2 kids. He's raised them over there, and they go to, dance and hockey and all that type of stuff. And they commute from Piers Island, and you get a waterfront place with your own dock, and you're in and around the $1 million range. So pretty neat, pretty different lifestyle. And again, that island has the same sort of community. They have their own fire team. They have community events, and like everyone knows everyone. So if you like the idea of that lifestyle, I think that's another good value area. And there's lots more, but that's a couple examples.
So those are for primary residences, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What about a secondary residence? So let's say somebody's, in the city. I'm not going to name names. I'm asking for myself.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So like they want a secondary residence, like a home away from home, a place that they can, have recreation with their, being on the water, have recreation, playing with,
So, I mean, you asked me before, like what questions do I ask? And these are usually the first 2 questions. Right. First of all, like, what do you want to do there? And then second of all, what's the budget? Because that makes a big difference. Right. So let's ignore the budget thing. Depending on what you want to do, some of the remote islands, like if you're not into like fishing or hiking or some sport that's really like you kind of do by yourself, then you might want to look at somewhere like Salt Spring or Pender, where there's a little bit more infrastructure. And there's like Salt Spring's got its famous Saturday market, which is, a good time, especially if you haven't grown up with it. Anyway, and then Pender's got a whole bunch of new cideries and like 2 really cool marinas. Right. And I know my brother takes his boat over there, and usually in the summer, and they have a fun time with some friends and their kids and everything. Right. So yeah, it depends what you want to do. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you want to do, Michael? What would you do on your boat access property?
I like to think that I want, I just wanted that connection to nature, and a bit of, but having that infrastructure and that lifestyle would be nice. But, I was talking to some guys at the pub.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Yeah.
And, they've raised their kids, and they have amazing kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, there's like this whole kind of push and pull between like that waterfront cabin or like vacations around the world. And like pretty much the majority of the conversations I'm having is the families that grew up with that like cabin on the water type of thing are more tightly bound together, and they're like, they're more community oriented. They had like this kind of different experience, like summers away type of scenario. So I'm like, man, I'm just kind of fantasizing about that, and being able to do things like community projects and helping someone pour concrete. I don't know how much use that would be, but like having that kind of community environment, and you summer away, and then you kind of build a community that do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. And I think like obviously this depends on what the financial ability is, but I think, and I've traveled all over the place, and I think that summers in like Victoria, Vancouver, the Gulf Islands, like they're some of the nicest places in the world to be. I mean, our summers are like Hawaii, and there's a reason why people always go to Hawaii. Right. It's that temperate climate, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's number 1. And then 2, again, like my brother and I used to go away to the same spot every year, and we made friends that were going on vacation to that same spot every year, and like we'd go back and see them every year, and like it was like it's something we really looked forward to. Yeah. And it was, I think now, I don't know if I crave like stability and doing the same thing over and over, but I think then, like as kids, I think you really do. Like
Right.
that same spot that you used to and you love, like they like that. And Sydney Island, like where we are, there are like there's a lot of older people that bought when the subdivision was formed, and then now their kids are using it, and they have kids, and those kids they all have friends on Sydney Island,
Right.
and they all look forward to seeing those friends, and they're all at the pond every day in the summer swimming. They know each other's names. Like
Right.
it's I don't know. I think it's really cool and super valuable, and somewhere like that, it's everyone just runs around. I mean, there's a girl named Lucy who speaks Spanish and Italian. And the other day I saw her driving her parents' Toyota pickup truck by herself. I think she's 12, but it's private property, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, like there's some pretty fun things that you can do at those cabins that like, I don't know, it's just more controlled and super safe and really easy to let them do whatever they want to do versus like, I don't know, traveling somewhere in the world where you don't know the culture, you don't know what you can let your kids do, right? It's just different. So both are good.
Well, I think that's great. Different lifestyles, and especially taking advantage of. We live in such a beautiful place. So we live in British Columbia, Canada, which has so much beautiful topography, so much beautiful nature. Obviously, we're by the ocean. There's islands, there's mountains, and sometimes when you like, for me, for example, I grew up in the city, like right on Oak Street, like on the busiest road in Vancouver. Like,
you turned out all right.
Yeah. But sometimes we just forget like how like majestic this place is, and how great and appreciative we should be to be able to live here. And so like having some elements of city and nature is going to be healthy for us to embrace. And so and I'm glad you're embracing that, Nick, with and we're very grateful to have you at Oakwyn, to be able to work closely with you every single day. Obviously please feel free, if you have a client, if you're from Vancouver or the Okanagan, you have clients for Victoria, please refer them to Nick. He does an amazing job. I've referred clients to him myself, and he's done an amazing amount of great work for them. So what's the best way for them to connect with you, Nick?
Yeah, I think I honestly, phone or text or email, all is fine. And I was also going to say, like, even if you're not referring clients, but you have some question, like I thought it was a fun question the other day. An agent called me and said, "Oh, I'm selling this waterfront property." And like, it was in Vancouver actually. And they said, "Well, there's a beach, but like, will there always be a beach?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Well, like the tides, right?" And so I explained, I looked up the tides where they were and explained. Anyway, all I'm saying is like, if you have questions, call me. And I think phone is always the best for me. Text is great. Sometimes it's hard to impart what we're trying to say via text, but just reach out, and happy to answer questions as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Nick, for being a part of the Oakwyn podcast. If you have clients out there that are looking for unique waterfront properties, Nick's your guy. And if you have clients that are also looking in Victoria to buy or sell, please reach out to Nick. And if you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, please rate us 5 out of 5 on the podcast platform you're listening to it on. And if you're wanting to learn more about Oakwyn, go to oakwyn.com/join, type it in the message box, Journey 2026, and you'll receive a free gift when you meet one of our leaders. Thank you, Nick, for being a part of the Oakwyn podcast.
Thanks, Michael. Really appreciate it. And we'll hopefully chat to all of you in the future.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.